Before we continue with the check service, now don't just watch, feel every moment of passion like a true football fan. From conducting every pass, analyzing every play, and celebrating every goal like it's your own. That's passion, and I mean passion felt, lived, and shared. Now, when you pay with your Mastercard from 3rd March to 30th April, you stand a chance to win an all-expense-paid 3-day viewing experience at the UEFA Champions League final for you and your friends at the Aqua Safari Resort. In the meantime, Mastercard is serving something quality from the Accra Mall. Let me just cross over and speak to our reporter Tracy to tell us more. Good afternoon, Tracy.
Good afternoon, Kwame.
And how are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you.
Fantastic. I hear we have a good treat from Mastercard today at the Accra Mall. What's happening? Tell us more.
Oh, yes, so trying to paint the picture here. I can see lots of people entering the Decathlon biggest sport outlet here in the Accra Mall. They are all scanning to stand a chance to win, to stand a chance and win the biggest activation. That is the UEFA. That is the
Champions
UEFA
League
football passion activation. Yes, that is the winner stands a chance to spend a 3-day trip at the Aqua Safari and have the chance to also watch the Premier League here. So lots of people are here scanning, and again, they are also winning freebies. I can see them giving out booze, water bottles, a lot of freebies here. And it's fun here.
Wonderful.
It's fun here.
Is there any special event happening this evening?
That is the activation. They are promoting the activation.
Okay.
Yes. The activation is the latest thing happening here.
Okay. So as we speak now, football fans or soccer fans can just head to the place and also take part, right?
Please. Yes, please. Everyone should rush in here because if you and there again, anybody who is shopping here in the Accra Mall with a Mastercard stands a chance of winning freebies that I mentioned. So that is why lots of people are rushing in here. Yeah, so shopping anywhere in the mall with Mastercard, you can win something. So please, Mastercard is calling everybody. Please come here, shop here, and stand a chance of winning a lot of freebies, and most importantly, enjoy the trip at Aqua Safari, as I mentioned earlier.
That's very thoughtful.
Watch the Premier League.
Wonderful. Very thoughtful of Mastercard. Very, very, very a great initiative there. Thank you so much, Tracy, for your time. And if you're listening to us, just drive by, go to the Accra Mall and take part in the draw. So you also get a chance to go see the finals of the UEFA Champions League at the resort. So please make a date with them and then be part of this experience. Joy 99.7 FM. You get the chance to join them. The experience at the UEFA Champions League final for you and your friends at the Aqua Safari Resort. That is the big deal. You need to be part of this particular one. Joy 99.7 FM. My name is Kwame Dadzie. The show brought to you by MTN. Everywhere you go, Superstar Multi-Food Drink. And it's produced by Philip Nye. Today, we have a lot on our table. And so, Clap for me. I sang the song. Jordan 99.7 FM. Welcome by Alabaster Box. And I have a founding member of Alabaster Box right here. One side of the box. Okay, box is one. How many sides do we have? Samuel Ninakudona is right here with us in the studio. Good afternoon. Yeah, I'm doing fantastic.
Hey,
I hope you're doing well.
Oh, by the grace of God, we're good. We're good.
Before we continue, let me say hi to my Uncle Ken. Hello.
Charlie, all of us are uncle.
Hello, Uncle Ken.
Good afternoon, Kwame.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
I hope you're fine.
Yes, fine, thank you.
Wonderful. So this welcome song,
Yep.
when was it released?
Okay, so officially, Welcome was released. Are we talking about launch or release? So released 2002.
Okay.
It was out. So what had happened was we all of us attended a very small church.
Okay.
Called Latter Rain Ministries at the
One
time.
church.
Yeah.
All four of you.
So the four that started Alabaster
Okay.
Box.
Okay.
But now some left and some came in. So
All right.
the four that started, all of us were in the same church. And
beautiful.
our pastor had traveled to South Africa to go and preach. And then some people from there wanted to come home. So he was welcoming those guests. And so we needed something special to welcome them. And so we wanted to also create something which is very Ghanaian, but also sounds like something that they are also used
see.
to. So then, of course, I mean, I believe that songs are given by God. So actually, I went into prayer personally. And then this song began to drop on my heart.
Wow. As a group,
Exactly.
how did you compose your songs?
Yeah. So most of our songs that we sing is composed by myself.
Okay.
Then we bring it on the table to then discuss, and then ideas begin to just come in. Somebody will say that no, this part let's sing it this way. No, this part let's throw this part away. Sometimes we sit on the song, we talk and then we just leave and go. But by the time we are coming back, new ideas are coming, and then we just land on one. There are times too the song comes as it is. When I bring the song as it is, everybody just jump on it and say that, oh no, the way it is, let's flow. It's like that, then we flow. So it depends.
Who sings the treble?
Oh, you mean the high pitch?
The high pitch.
The falsetto.
The falsetto.
His name is Host.
Okay.
Host. Yeah, his name is Host.
Host.
Yes. Yeah. We call him Popongoti. It was because horse. And then there's a T. The name is a German name. He was born in Germany. Yeah, so his name is Horst. Fantastic singer. Fantastic singer.
But after recording the various parts, do you do additional melodies to the initial recordings?
So you see, so when you go to the studio to go and record, you definitely need to do more than just one track.
Good.
So one. You sound like you are
you
a studio guy. so once you sing your part, you need to probably double it, and depending on how strong your voice is, they can sometimes even say triple it. So you record a certain number of tracks. But the beautiful thing about Alabaster Box is that we always recorded our songs in such a way that when we stand on stage, we probably even deliver it better than even what you are hearing on the CD. So most of the time when we go, the ways by which we have even actually sold CDs in those days when the CDs used to be in vogue. So it's when people hear us sing.
Okay.
Do you understand? Huh? So sometimes if you play the song, it's nice, but then when you hear us sing live, you go and buy the CD.
Exactly.
So that's what we try to be as authentic with our live performances as possible. And that's the beauty of a cappella. Anyway, a cappella is about doing the live here.
Do you compose your songs in notes? Do you sing from notes, as in from music, or just by improvise?
Well, yeah. So most of the time we improvise.
Okay.
But Horst started learning some music, so we started learning some theory. So now we began to inculcate some of that into the way we compose it. But otherwise, Charlie, it's camping and experience. So I tell you,
the way you deliver your notes is quite different from the usual harmony. You see, the way the bass will go, your mind will not go there.
Exactly. I remember some time ago, Ghana Music Awards, and they were going to give an award for male vocalists.
All right.
Also,
all right.
And there was a very huge debate on either Radio Gold or somewhere. And Yofi Grant, I don't know whether he's still alive. No, Yofi Brew.
Oh, okay, sorry.
That's not Brew's brother.
Okay.
Yofi Grant is a GIPC,
yeah,
right?
former GIPC.
Yeah. So Yofi Brew.
Okay.
He made an argument. I think at the time it was us and one of these male musicians in Ghana, and the guy said that, look, listen to Alabaster Box, no instruments, nothing. Look at the exactitude, look at the correctness of the the notes and everything, and then put the music off this guy's voice and let's just play his voice and see whether so because awarding what do you call it, male vocalist or female vocalist, it's not a popularity thing, it's a technical thing, and I'm sure Uncle Ken Dems will tell you that, look, these are some of the things you need to look at to give some of these awards, but apparently some of the panelists thought, oh, hey, this guy is more popular than Alabaster Box. I said, it's not popular. So like you're saying, I mean, we work hard to make sure the thing is on point.
Good.
But sometimes when it comes to these awards,
who produced you? Who produced Alabaster Box as an executive production?
Executive production is us.
Okay.
Yes, it's
everything
all
by
exactly. Whether it's funding or everything is us. Even when you check the music labels, you can see that executive produced Alabaster Box. But the technical ones, in terms of the studio, our first album, which is this one, was done by Cave Studios.
All right.
And that is Robert of Showbiz.
Oh, okay.
The Showbiz, the guitarist. It's actually the leader. Yeah. So
he's a music producer.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Beautiful.
So he actually taught us how a cappella is recorded, because we thought, the same way we sang,
special way of recording a cappella.
Yeah, exactly. So we thought that the same way we sang, we could just go into the studio and do the same way. He said no, because we tried recording our album in another studio some time ago before we actually met Cave Studios. When we went to that studio, the man there didn't know what I don't want to say his name, but it's like, so we ended up wasting a lot of money, and then we just left that studio. We traveled to Australia, and then back from Australia, we spoke with Robert. Robert said, "Come, I know exactly what to do," and that is how we did everything. We got it right. Yeah. So
awesome. So how far did music take Alabaster Box? Because your songs were everywhere.
Oh yes.
Especially Welcome on radio stations, senior high schools, everywhere.
Yeah. So by the grace of God, I mean, you can talk about some of the big stages, on the globe.
Wow.
When it comes to gospel music, the biggest I know of is The Experience.
Yeah.
Lagos.
Yeah.
In fact, it's the biggest. If you talk about at a gathering of people to worship God, The Experience Lagos is the biggest. And we've been on that stage by the grace of God. In fact, I think we are the first Ghanaian group to be on that stage.
Oh yeah. And which year was that?
I think somewhere in 2017, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, 2016.
Awesome.
2017. There, yeah. So we went, and then I think afterwards, Sonny Badu and some other people also went. But then we went, and of course everybody knows this. We've sung for the Queen of England.
Yeah.
And we've gone to Festival of Life, which is also one of the biggest events you can find in the UK. We've been to the Fringe Festival, in Scotland. We've been twice, and several other events that we've been to. We've stood on the stage and raised the flag of Ghana high. Yes.
So when was the last time you came out with the song Alabaster Box?
It's been a while. That one I got. Now we have a single that we are working on. We've still not brought it out yet, but very soon we are going to bring it up. But I think the last we have 3 albums so far. I think the last album we did was in 2017 or so. Yes.
Wow.
So it's been a while.
Joy 99.7 FM. This is Showbiz A to Z. My name is Kwame Dadzie, and today it's a church affair. I have in the studio Ni Naku Douna. He's a founding member of Alabaster Box. Uncle Ken is here as well, and we've been joined by a legend, if I should call him.
Yes.
He is a pillar in the gospel music industry.
Yep.
He is a multi-instrumentalist. Plays the keyboard, plays guitar, plays sax. He composes. I'll be talking to him in a moment, but let me finish with Ni Naku Douna. So, with this particular welcome song, a few weeks ago, we woke up to this news about Alabaster Box writing to Medical and cautioning him or asking him to come and do the right thing because he had used a portion, about 12 bars of your composition for his new song. And then about a week later, we saw writ of summons to him, pressing charges against him, if you like. Let me ask you, how did we get here from the beginning to this point in time, where now you are demanding about 15 million Ghana cedis?
Okay, so let me first of all seek legal advice.
Okay, I'm sure when I mentioned he was looking at me some way.
Please, now that the matter is in court and I am a party to the, am I allowed to speak on it?
Can't.
I can't.
Okay, at all.
You'll be in contempt of
Exactly.
Okay,
I can't.
So you are lucky. You are lucky.
It has been filed, but he's not been sent. But he has been filed.
once it's been filed, you
Yeah,
can't
okay.
comment on it.
So it has been filed. So
You could go to jail.
yes,
You are lucky we have a lawyer here today.
yes. So that's why I
By
said
the
that let
end
me
of the
seek
show, you'll be
legal.
in jail.
Yes. I mean, for some reason, I knew I was going to be asked this question. I knew Philip would not let it pass. I'm going to be asked this question. But so now everything I can say could be sort of like testimony in court. So I better not say anything at all.
Okay, Joy 99.7 FM. This is Showbiz A to Z. My name is Kwame Dadzie, and we're going to have a very, very, very interesting discussion here because there has been this very controversial issue that we want to delve deeper into today here on Showbiz A to Z. Joy 99.7 FM. So a few weeks ago, we heard this particular tape. Let me play to you something that we heard about a month or so ago. I don't know if it's an old video, but this is a video by the founder of the Lighthouse Chapel International, Bishop Dag Heward-Mills. This has generated conversation all over social media and other media platforms. Take a listen to this.
For people who do things for money. You know, in my church I said I'm not going to pay people to play instruments because I play all the instruments. I play piano, I play guitar, I play drums, I play everything. I don't see why we are paying for that. And I got all the children in the church and I set up a music school, and every child in my church, you have to learn how to play the piano. All the children in the church know how to play the piano. Nobody can come and bully us in the church. Pay me this before I play, before I sing. Nonsense. Here we don't pay. You can play because you love Jesus. If not, go.
So you just heard Bishop Dag Heward-Mills there in that particular audio. This has been trending for the past month or so, and people have been expressing their opinions on this particular audio regarding whether church musicians should be paid or not. He was telling his story, talking about how he wants his church to be run regarding musicians and payment, but it has gotten into various sectors and the discussions have been raging. I have in the studio Samuel Nina Kudouna, who is founding member of Alabaster Box. He is, should I say you're still a church musician? Do you still sing at church? Okay, and then I have in the studio Uncle Ken, who is a broadcaster who has knowledge in music. When it comes to music, don't go there, Uncle Ken. Last Thursday, I was listening to his jazz, and I was like, yeah. You see, Uncle Ken is initiating me into proper music. Charlie, Uncle Ken, yeah, I love him, die. And then, and then we are also here in the studio with the man. If you listen to Joyful Way Incorporated songs, you see, he has done so much for this industry. He's worked with Benny Sofen, a lot of musicians in this industry. He's not just a lawyer, he is a musician in the sense of the word. Ace is also here with us to help us with the discussion. Let me say hi to him even before we continue. Hi, sir.
Hi, but I actually don't consider myself a musician.
We do.
Well, you do, but you're probably wrong. I call myself a music hobbyist. Those are distinctions that are very critical.
Okay.
So for me, it's a hobby.
For you.
But it is a hobbyist who plays music.
Very good.
I'm a hobbyist and I don't play music.
But you play music too, Uncle
No,
Ken.
I'm saying I don't perform
You don't perform good.
music. But he
Very well.
performs
Performs
music.
music. And he composes.
And the
Exactly.
performance and the compositions are all my hobbies.
You see where the lawyer is taking us.
Thank you so much, sir, for joining us today on Showbiz A to Z. Let me come back to you again, Samuel. So, since when did you start singing in church? At what age? Or what time?
I got born again
Born.
at age 16. So think about it. And from that time on, I discovered that I could sing. In fact, even before I was in church, I used to run a group in my area called, please don't laugh, we call it Boomerang and the Showboys.
What is that?
Well, you need to come to my area and come and understand. I'm not going to explain it to you. We used to run a group called Boomerang and the Showboys. So we used to perform. I can tell you, we used to perform Michael Jackson songs, Kool and the Gang songs.
Yeah.
No, those kind of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we used to do all the moves like that.
Wow.
So immediately I got born again at 16, and I moved to church. I said, this singing, me and Asori singing at 12 months. So that's it. So right from that point on, I joined choir. You know, even at scripture, I became music director in the scripture. I was vice president and music director at the same time. Then in sixth form, I was SU president and also part of the music, And then in church, it was even in church that we formed Alabaster Box. So,
Yeah.
I mean, in church, I was also music director. So, Charlie, those days, many years ago.
Were you paid for singing in church?
No, I've never been paid. The question is, was I paid singing in church? In my church?
In your church?
I've never been paid singing in my church. Whether I was playing, we played some keyboards. In those days, we used to learn on our own. We play some keyboard. I've never been paid playing. I've never been paid singing. That kind of thing. We go to camps, stuff like that. We even get invited to other churches, maybe as a church choir.
Yeah.
Other churches invite us to go and sing. We've never been paid. In fact, we payment or taking money for singing it was not on our minds. Even at the point when we formed Alabaster Box, we were just happy going around singing. The first time we were ever paid was somewhere around 2003. We went to some church at YMCA to go and sing. He was a very senior man of God, a classmate of mine's father. He died recently. May he so rest in peace.
So are you saying whenever you performed in churches, you did not charge?
No. We charge. No, we don't
And
even.
you were not paid.
And
You're not giving anything.
There were
to-
times when they give us money, we even
Okay.
rejected it.
Okay.
But this man, when he gave us money, we told him, we don't do that. That's not how we treat. Then he invited us into his office and told us that, look, what we are doing is it's not biblical. When you come and sing, and you didn't charge, that's fine. That's your policy. You do. But when we give you something, just take it. I mean, that's how blessings work. It goes around. Just take it and go. So from that point on, now, if we go somewhere and they give us something, we take. But for us to go to a church and say, pay us this before we come to church.
And
Unless
you're
of course
worried.
it's
You're not
another
worried
event
about
which
that.
is not church.
You're not worried about that.
No, we've never been. Even today, Alabaster Box, when we are invited to churches, we don't charge. we are going to have a certain discussion because of some of the realities of life now. We'll have a certain discussion with you, but we make sure that it begins with you. What is it that you want to commit? Because people usually ask you, how much do you charge? We say, no, we don't charge. But how can you support our ministry to go on? Then the discussion begins from there. But if it's not church, it's another event, maybe a paid event, maybe a corporate something. That one there, we can talk business. But church, no. Even till today, we don't.
Let me welcome a big brother here. He's also a musician. He plays the maracas. Hi, George Quay.
I play the what?
Maracas.
I actually sing. You know, when I was in GSS, I was actually in the choir.
Oh,
yeah, in Association International. I was in the choir.
I thought you could only speak
and when I was
but
when I was in the school, the school. Thank you very much. The school. There are only 2 schools in Ghana.
I know. I know two of you are seated.
The rest of you can arrange yourselves in whichever order, but we couldn't be bothered. When I was in the school, you know, I actually thought I would come out as a musician. I was a rapper. I was entertainment prefect. So, yeah.
But all of you have abandoned us like that.
Please.
No, we haven't abandoned you. I'm still with you.
Somebody
guys.
say you should give us freestyle.
You should be singing.
Freestyle and what?
Of Joyful Ways, Wahini.
Oh, no, not at this time. Because Joyful Way has got representatives here. I don't want to.
All right, Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z, and today we're having a discussion on whether church musicians should be paid. That is the question. For George, I've seen a comment you made on social media. I've seen an article that Ace also wrote. Yes, a very brilliant piece that I would love to read. If I can read just excerpts of that. Joy 99.7 FM. But let's get talking about this whole issue, whether it is necessary, it is important, if you like, to pay church musicians. Now, this is the article that Ace and Koma wrote, and it says, in this life, there are about 3 conditions under which you will be paid for what you do. Contract of service, that is employment contracts, and then that results in a salary. We have 2, contract for services, client-contractor relationship, paid when you perform, and then honorarium. You don't officially charge, but a small amount of money is paid to you. Let me not read everything. Let me get to Ace and then ask him, Ace, please, what inspired this perspective that you put out there in this article?
What I put there is basically legal.
Great.
Yeah. For any transaction which requires what the lawyers will call consideration, which is payment, there must be an agreement. And an agreement is arrived at when the 2 minds meet. The lawyers will call it consensus ad idem. In Tree, we'll say at ntiasia ejuma.
Okay.
Right, where your mind has met mine, and we have understood that for doing this thing, you will do that. So there's a payer and a receiver. It's a contractual relationship. Without that contract, you cannot demand payment. Let's understand that.
Okay.
Unless and until there's a contract. Now, the contracts come in 2 forms. One is that you are an employee. So you might find that in some churches, they have full-time musicians. They are on salary. They go to work from 8 to 5, and they play music for the 8-hour day.
Wow.
Yes.
8 to 5.
Yes. They are I'm going to stay away from mentioning any church by name. But yes, I know churches where the musicians go to work from 8 to 5. And when you hear them play, you know that they play music every day. Okay? Then there is the contract for services, which is really a client-customer relationship. As I come, like you said, you go in there, it's a business event, your group appears, you agree on a sum, you perform, and you're paid, and you go away. It's not a day-to-day work. They have no control over the way you work. It's a contractual basis. Then there's honorarium. You know, basically, we are giving you what, as we like to say, the Lord has put on our hearts. Now, let me backtrack, and I don't know how much time you have for me.
We have a lot of time.
I came into contact with contemporary gospel music in 1979.
Wow.
I was 11.
I was -6.
When I went to Form 1 in the school and met Joyful Way, a group with which I've had some little association before. And so I have been at this thing for 46 years.
Wow.
Okay. I have not earned a salary from it before. I was young, I knew just a little bit of playing. Now, I'll tell you that in that time, from my understanding of things, music, well, gospel music manifested in several ways. One, in the church. Historically, in the Orthodox churches, the organist, who is often the choir master, might receive a little stipend, right? Or sometimes he's also the music teacher in the mission school. So he adds the choir practice and the Sunday performance to his, let's say, portfolio of work, and then is paid for it. But it was, some were clear employees of the mission, and others came in and went out. Now, in the non-church groups like Joyful Way, nobody was paid a thing. We all went and got and performed. You found your transport money to go to the rehearsals and to attend the programs and to give off your skill, and you found your way back home. Along the line, things began to change, and that is the point that I'd like to make. That the seasons and times do not remain the same; they change. Along the line, an interesting development came up, where groups like Joyful Way, although they have their own set of instrumentalists, might go for some instrumentalists who are better to come and complement our work. That is what led to what we started calling session men. And so a group like Joyful Way might invite, I was playing guitar, but Zap Mallet was a way better guitarist than me. And so if we have a recording, Joyful Way will call Zap Mallet in to come and play, and might have a private arrangement with him to pay him some amount of money. I remember when Eric Antonio returned to Ghana from Scotland, we hadn't seen a keyboardist like that before. Eric was and still amazing, and he played for everybody. And of course, for him, it was the job that he did. And so if you asked him to come and play for free, you're actually asking him, you're actually taking food off his table, clothes off his back, a roof over his head, and money out of his pocket. And so the session men were for the most part paid. But I'll tell you what, it led to some dissension. Because I'm here. I have played, I haven't even received one brown peso. Then another person comes and is paid. But the session thing began. Then even in the churches, when the churches were, and you know, not that historically, it's Joyful Way that started contemporary gospel music. The use of guitars and drums and the like in music and contemporary music forms. And at the time, there were some churches that didn't even allow them to bring their instruments in. Yes, from 1972.
Must be the Orthodox ones.
I refuse to. Ken wants to get me into trouble. They refused that. It was the devil's instruments. But gradually, the churches started absorbing these music forms. In fact, at the time, what you find in a lot of the churches is the hymn music and the singing band, which was technically a cappella with percussion. The claves, the deuta, which the cow horn, maracas, and then the conga.
Exactly.
So those were the only instruments.
Yes.
Yeah, and now they advanced, they probably will get tambourines. Okay. So as things went on, music began to change. Now, when the charismatics came in, they actually came in with a big bang, with a contemporary instrument, and they had everything, including studio lights and stage lights, and the demands on the musician then became more. Because, for example, if all you are doing, and this is it, if your church, just that, the musicians play praise and worship, one song before pastor preaches, choir administration, it's not a whole lot of work.
Exactly.
Right? You play and go away. And many of these guys, 3 or 4 chords you can play. But if the church now begins to demand Maverick City quality sound. You can't do that with an hour rehearsal at home and a 2 hours rehearsal on Saturday and going on stage. Because now the sound demands more technical input. You will need stems. Stems are actually digital recordings of sound before you perform. So you need to get into a studio, you need to book time, you need to play your basic tracks, get your time sequence, get drums in, and decide which instruments we need to complement. Voices, get singers in to sing. You then learn how to perform on cue. Your musicians now may no longer be able to perform with just wedges. They will need in-ears, so you must buy P16s. The music gets complex because you see, if Osofo wants his message on YouTube, the sound quality can kill his message.
Right.
And so you need to do pre-production of the music, then you do the live recording, then you do post-production, because you don't want that wrong chord that the guitarist played to feature in the YouTube video. So the guitarist has to come back and track again. Now, the demands then are not the simple we go to church, yeah, that was you, yeah, you are your hinkesi, hallelujah, right? The 145. The music then moves forward. So this is my point. If you are demanding the quality of music, which requires that the musician must give more time than he can afford to give for free, then it is critical that the two of you sit down and have a meeting of minds. Because listen, there's the pre-production, there's the live recording, there's the post-production. Then you're going to have to mix the sound. And you just don't mix sound and put it out there. You have to master the sound. These are all production stages. And so if the church will go to record and go to a studio, now roughly if you want to record songs, very good songs, it will cost you no less than 5,000 cedis per song. Right now, because you book the studio, the engineer will possibly do the keyboards and the basic programming. Then he'll send the sound to the drummer. He's going to charge you no less than 500 cedis to track the drums in his studio and send it to the right? It's a Macheda. No, Macheda. There's a Yanka 500 cedis. All right? You see, the thing is that, no, if depending on the level, I'm talking of the water. Then if you go to, then they'll send it to the bassist, because the drummer must do it first. The bassist does it. Maybe you have a certain guitarist somewhere. Sometimes when I call Dominic, my favorite guitarist, Dominic go or send me or Denmark. The guy is playing all over the world. So I send the sound to him in Denmark for him to track at night and email his stems to us for us to sync into the thing. I have to pay him. Then if I want brass, my favorite is Nijata. Charlie, when Nijata day, we send it to him. He says 48 hours turnaround time. He plays, he gives you soprano, alto, tenor, blows the lines, sends it to you. If you want trombone, hey, where is Justice? Where's Ellie? Then we send the sound. Now, this is not cheap. By the time you finish, and I'm talking of the lowest level of recording, right? I haven't done too many frills. 5K there, it can reach 12,000 based on where you go and what you want in. Now, also, if you want that quality of sound, even the equipment in your church has to change. The mixer, that analog mixer you have in your church cannot produce that sound. Right. You need to go digital. As you go digital, your sound people will begin to tell you that also you do SSL. At that point, I'm putting it to you. You are spending $80,000 on just the mixer, on the digital mixer, to produce the kind of sound that you want. If you are prepared to invest $80,000 in a mixer, how much do you want to pay the guy who is standing behind it? Because now we see in our time we all learned sound engineering on the job. Now you can't. Now you have to go to school. You need to watch YouTube videos. You stand behind the mixer and you be confused because the whole thing is digitalized. Yeah. It's digital, right? You need to learn it. Volume controls are not the simple pushing a bass line. No, it has changed, right? If you are sitting behind something that's 144 channel, and if you are mixing for a group like Joyful Way, Joyful Way uses the highest number of channels in this country. At the Explosion of Joy, they have at least 50 singers of stage, each of them mic'd. So that's 50 channels gone. They mic their drums and minimum of 13 mics. Wow. Just drums. Before they get to their keyboards are stereo. So if they have 3 stations of 2 keyboards, each keyboard has 2 channels. So each station is 4 channels times 3, 12. But in the beginning, we had 12 channel mixers that we're using for concerts. Today, the 12 channel we even mix drums.
Charlie.
Now, when you begin to demand this level of work and this level of investment, you must know that it comes with the human side, that human resource. You have the technical resource, there's the human resource. You have to match the two, else you will get the equipment and still produce low quality music. That is where I think that both the church, now as an employer and as a deployer of a certain quality of work, must sit down and check, what do we want? If you want this quality, you then get people in to do that. But I'll tell you what some of the churches have done is very cute. They are unwilling to pay for music as music. So they hire them in sometimes as administrators, as pastors, as part of the staff, and they are paid, and then they do the music alongside.
So they do double job.
So yes. So it is for everybody. Now it's also for me as the music hobbyist or as a musician to determine what I think should be the value of what I do.
All right.
I definitely cannot devote 8 hours a day to playing music. I'm sorry. I'm very blunt. When I got to first year, I actually toyed with the idea of quitting school to go into full-time music.
Whoa.
Yeah, first year law school, the Faculty of Law, Legon Hall Annex A, 107. So I sat down and thought. I thought very hard for about a week. And then I came to a very carnal conclusion. I didn't know any rich gospel musicians. And I didn't want to risk being the first, because I might not be the first.
Being the first rich gospel musician.
Because I might fail. And so I looked at it and I took a whole step back. So I didn't develop to where I thought I could get to, because there was no time. The law took all my time. And so everything I do is my free time. And for that, I require no payment. I've played for a lot of people. Some have paid. I will be a liar. I have to change some part of what I wrote. Some have paid. Well, I was Ben's first guitarist when she first launched. I was paid for that gig.
All right.
I was Tom Barry Davis's second keyboardist when he launched New Wave. I wasn't paid for that gig because Tom be my buddy. But for Ben's, there was somebody sponsoring it, and there was a budget to pay the musicians.
All right.
And so I got paid for that.
So did you charge, or you were just giving something?
When I was invited, it was TV Olante who was organizing. He called me and said, "Hey, look, come and do this gig. This is how much they're offering you." And I was like, "Great." And so sometimes when I've been invited to play, I've done that. But even with charging, even with Joyful Way as a group does not set a charge. But for example, they performed at Harvest Praise, and I know, I'm not surprised. Harvest Praise is Calvary Road. Calvary Road and Joyful Way started. Calvary Road started 5 years after Joyful Way. Okay, but do you know what Joyful Way received? They received a contract, a performance contract, legal terms.
Okay.
So the lawyers of the two sides met, negotiated on the points, had agreements signed, and there was an agreed compensation package.
Wow.
And they went to pay. That's where the world is right now. That's where the world is right now.
So it's not only about the money.
It's not only about the money. You see, if the people, for example, if that is what the guy does full time, if you call Joe Metal to come and perform, that is his job. I'm sorry, God bless you, know the go market. Oh, when he goes home and his wife is asking for money for market the next day, he can't say that, take half of the God bless you that he gave to me. If you call 1,000, now that's the job he does. So you must understand that, and listen, and I'll give you Joe as an example. Joe, I hope you don't mind this. Joe Metal is coming with a keyboardist that he's going to pay. Drummer, bass, guitarist, horsemen, backup singers, whom he's going to pay. So if you give him God bless you, what's he going to give to them? One, they'll go for rehearsals for your program, and they'll come and perform. And that is where some of the contradiction even is. That if some churches don't pay, when they invite certain artists, they pay them. Right? You say, I won't pay those who are here. But when I invite guest artists, I'm going to pay them. And so, I think that the discussion ought to be church by church. What policy do you want to run? What is your, what do you expect? And then decide that my policy is a non-payment policy.
Okay.
If you accept that, come and work with me. If you don't accept that, take your skill and talent elsewhere. I think that is fair. So for a church that says I don't pay, I have no problems with the church. It is their policy. For churches that decide that we have a budget for this, it is the policy. But this is the problem. I know churches who say we don't pay, and then they bring in the big stars and they pay them. And the contradiction is so apparent, but they probably don't see it. And so I don't want anybody to have a big hoopla over this. Look, musician, the skill is yours. You determine how you are going to deploy it. Now, all the boys, the serious boys, they have tracking equipment, sound cards in their bedroom.
Yeah.
You send them the sound. They don't have to show up in your studio. They play and bring it to you. So it's cash in a hand. Performance. Right? And you can't say they are not Christians.
Yeah.
They are doing their jobs.
Thank you very much, Ace Kuma, for that
can I leave now?
submission. Oh, no. We have 1.5 hours more to go. We just started. We just started.
End of story. Let's go home.
Let me welcome into the studio Pastor Edwin Dadzie. He is a pastor and a worship leader at the International Central Gospel Church. Hi, Pastor.
Thank you, boss.
I hope you're doing well.
Yeah, you can tell from my voice.
He has a great band.
Yeah.
The band that plays for him. Wow.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Thank you.
Fantastic. So you are a pastor and a worship leader. So you're a musician and a pastor.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one did you start with?
I would say I started as a musician first.
Okay.
And then I went into full time.
Okay.
Pastoring, yeah.
Okay. Did you start as a musician who was
paid?
Paid?
No.
Staff
No.
of the church.
No.
You sang for free.
Oh yeah. I mean,
For how long?
I think the understanding we have to get about singing for free or service in the house of God is that is the least you can do for what the blood of Jesus has done for you. So when you belong to the body of Christ and you are serving with that gratitude of heart that what he has done for me is far more than what I can ever do for him. That is basic. So pastor, cleaner, anybody who is saved must of necessity serve the body. And the theology of the body is that though the body is an organized entity called the church, the body is also the body of Christ, and Christ is the head. So what I do for my church, the church becomes sort of the agency that, because the church becomes the kind of attachment, the body attachment that I serve, the assembly, the local assembly, I serve the Lord, kind of. That understanding must be there. But like what Uncle Ace is saying, if I'm doing any service that is demanding 40 hours or 8 hours a day, it's legal. I mean, the problem is that we are dealing with Ghana, so these things are issues. You will say these things in South Africa and go scot-free. And it's like it's either you didn't know or something. Because over there, anytime you've seen any South African video, you see all these fat girls dancing and happy behind microphone, joyous or whatever. It's full-time music. It's not anything you have to talk about, maybe, for the name of the Lord. And the reason is that, yes, they have a devotion to the Lord, and they choose to do that anytime they want to serve freely, voluntarily. But if it is something they have to depend on, then I think they have to be paid. So it's fundamental for the discussion. I think Uncle Ace has summarized.
So there is somebody who comes to church on Sunday
to
play, let's say, the keyboard, and that person is demanding that he's paid.
Yeah.
Is it not right to demand for that?
No, I'm saying that you have the right to demand again if you know there was an agreement. I've done a lot of seminar on this. Some have titled "Why Musicians Leave," how to bridge the gap between pastors and musicians. Because I'm a pastor. I've played bandstand before I came to church. I've been a worship leader without pay before I became a pastor and became a full-time worship and a music pastor. So I've seen that guys sometimes will come on board they just want to serve. Then they realize that people are getting money for the same service. And they don't want to feel that, as a quasi-bo. So it's like, can you also pay me? So it's just that when they ask for the payment, I feel is the right thing. If there is an agreement, then they demand some payment. If there is no agreement, then something has to be agreed upon. Even if the guy says, I need money, and the pastor says, oh, but we didn't agree on that. The right thing that must be done is, are you demanding more than what, the kind of service that usually we would all want to serve, maybe 2 hours, 4 hours, that's fine. But you are taking almost all the time. So I think that for payment, if somebody demands money, there should be an agreement. And the agreement as to what you have to pay depends on the qualification of the person, and all that it comes with.
Thank you, John 99.7 FM, Pastor Edwin Datsing there. He is a pastor and a worship leader at the ICGC. We also have from the UK, artist manager, CEO of Media Excel. He was once a musician. He has a song called Bisa Yesu. Kwesi Ernest. Hello. Hello, Kwesi. Hello. Okay, I think we have difficulty in hearing Kwesi Ernest.
Kwame, I can hear you loud and clear from here.
Okay, how are you doing?
Kwame, I'm very, very fine.
Fantastic. So, I hope you've been following the discussion.
Very, very well.
All right. So, what is your stance on this particular one? Should church musicians be paid or not? I know you have a very strong opinion on this. Share with us.
Well, Kwame, first of all, let me take this moment to celebrate and greet one of the biggest legal brains in music, Uncle Ace in the studio. Let me say a very big thank you to him for some good he did for me years past. When I released, I stand on his intellectual property. When I released Just Blessings, Yame Gwamba, when I went to his office, he was so lenient and he was a father to me during that time. Uncle Ace,
Kwesi, you mean you did not seek permission before you took the song?
Yes, we infringed on his intellectual property with my first recording with Just Blessing, and it was a big hula baloo. And he really proved that he was a father, and he blessed me so much. And I took a lot of counsel when I went to his office, and some of his advices has been some of the strong instruments that some of us have been on to champion the cause of copyright in Ghana. Uncle Ace, this evening I salute you and I celebrate you. I celebrate you, the oil on your head with music. God bless you.
Next time, take Alabaster Box and you see.
Kwame, when I like the way Uncle Ace opened the conversation and really provided a lot of teases with music, church, and all this that he provided. The background that he provided is just amazing. And also, because of the way he went, I want to just maybe add a few to what he did. Now, Kwame, we are actually battling with a few things within the church body. The church body has grown to a certain level, and the level to which church has grown requires certain special services in the body of Christ. As my brother Datson said it, there are special services that is actually required in the body of Christ for the service of Christ. And that special services that is required, there's a section of individuals who sees correct when their services is being appreciated. They are fine. When a pastor goes to preach, we have pastors in Ghana that even before you can put their images on billboard, there should be some appearance fee that you have to pay for them. They don't have any problem. To them, that one is good because you are actually celebrating the man of God. There are pastors who fly business class around the world. Kwame, that is good. There are pastors who, like, they live luxury. They need to live in Trasaco. They need to live here. They need to drive Rolls Royce. Have you these days you check the pastors, their security when they are coming? They have a whole Explorer, Ford Explorer filled with security men holding walkie-talkies like security gadgets. They are talking over, roll, open the door. All these ones, these are pastors, people who are actually being guided by the Holy Spirit, who have power. In fact, they have power of anointing that when they touch your knee, you should, if you are crippled, you should walk. These people are actually having the top-notch presidential security, and to them, that is fair. That they don't see nothing wrong with it. These people are in the body of Christ, so together we are all in the boat going to heaven, traveling. And then there's another part of individuals who are also referred to as the musicians. And then the musicians who are also giving their services to the body of Christ in the same atmosphere. And then these pastors who are enjoying all these lofties hold the microphone and refer to them as thieves to be paid in the house of God. These pastors who, of all the benefits and entitlement that they have, we all of us in the same boat going to heaven. These service people who are also rendering their services in the body of Christ sees these people as thieves for their services being paid, or for their services being cherished in the body of Christ. And I found myself and I was like, this is becoming an abuse. In fact, Kwame, from where this conversation is going now, the whole conversation is becoming an abusive system than actually a moral aspect of a religious moral system. Because I am actually looking for a pastor.
Kwesi,
yes.
Would you please do the honors by saying some instead of generalizing?
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. But Kwame, I'm looking out for some of the pastors who will actually come and actually mount and give us certain definitions, maybe back it with some biblical emphasis that, for this reason, God said this, when you do this is this. But look at the definitions and the openings that Uncle Ace provided. If a church, and I have said that, Kwame, any church that decide to go and buy an 80,000 digital mixer, bring it to his church, cannot ever join the conversation to say that instrumentalists or musicians who are in the church are thieves in the church for receiving salaries or honorarium. Because $80,000 mixer must actually be manned and controlled by a professional. And the conversation we are having on the table this evening is professionalism. Why would you refer to somebody's professionalism as thievery? When you know, open eyes, that this is what the person is actually doing to survive. And I found it quite distasteful. The manner and certain English languages and what we are seeing. And in fact, these days, and I want to ask Uncle Ace on this one, on the legal interpretation of that. Because I have seen pastors who are actually calling musicians in their church and then embarrassing them in front of the altar, calling them names. And I'm saying that, is it church service or abuse? We need to find a way. Because one, you have a problem paying them. Two, you will bring them before the altar and actually curse them on top of it. What have they done? What did anybody do? What wrong did anybody commit by becoming an instrumentalist in a church? We are always saying they don't need to be paid. They don't need to do that. And I'm saying, you want people to play spiritually, to lift your spirit to heaven. And you want people to a group of people, 14 young men, to group in your church and perform from January to December. They don't, and in fact, some of the churches, they have restrictions. If you're a keyboardist, you cannot even go to another church to go and do anything. Or You cannot even be seen playing in a secular community, secular stage. So what it is that because they say the moment you are from that place and go and play in a secular stage, do not be yoked with unyoke. It means that you have tempered your hands with certain why a bunny. I say like so your spirituality level has been tempered with. So you have to remain in the church. Come to rehearsals on Tuesday, come on Wednesday, come on Thursday, play on Friday all night, Saturday wedding, Sunday church service. And I know some people, Kwame, I know some musicians who cannot even afford to pay rent. And yet they are playing full time in churches. I know some musicians who call me and they're actually asking for school fees for their children because they are adults. They have wives and they have children. Their children must go to school. They have to feed the family. They have fathers and their mothers in the village who are suffering from stroke-related conditions, and they need to pay medicines for their parents. And yet, the man of God still sees it wrong to pay these individuals who are working for him, providing good music for the church every time. This is an abuse. Don't let us use biblical emphasis or connotations to actually put certain people and abuse human beings. That one is not God's service. That one is an abuse. We shouldn't use Bible as emphasis to deprive certain people of their entitlement and then actually look at it and then put them into a box. That is what is happening.
Okay, Kwesi,
It's an abuse.
I'll come back to you, but let me get in here.
Kwame, let us put emphasis on it that that aspect form is an abuse. Because you are denying this young man, and this young man, and Chris, these young men are on the street. Some of them cannot even feed. They can't buy dresses. They can't do anything. They can't take their children to school. And this is a formal thing they do. They have actually been denied even going to do any other thing, going to play any session out there. Because the man of God says, once you move, you have tempered your hands with something. And therefore, they have to remain in the church work. That is slavery. It's not church service. It's not spirituality.
Okay.
And I call it an abuse. And that abuse from today, as we are having this conversation, and I need all of you, we need all of us to put our voices to stop this rascality that is going on there in the body of Christ. It is a rascality and it must stop.
Bragwazi. Okay, we'll get back to you. Yes. Uncle Ken.
Ace wanted to react.
Okay, let me come to Ace and then I come
quickly.
to you. Ace, yes.
Quickly. Well, I hear him and he kept referring to me. But let's understand this. There are several levels of this. If I belong to a church and I can perform a service, I am the one who offers myself for the service.
Yes.
The service could be in ushering, it could be in arranging chairs, it could be in music, it could be in playing, it could be in singing. I offer that talent to the church as part of my service. I ideally do not expect to be paid for that. Exactly. And I think that we should have that straight up.
Yes.
So if you play an instrument and you are in church and you can offer it for free, and you do it and it's your decision, and you are not being compelled to do it, then that is fair. Yes. You do it, and then on Monday you go to your regular job. Let's get that straight up. Yeah. If, however, the music is my job, that is what I do for a living, and still I can offer it for free on Sundays and other days, that is fine. Mm-hmm. But we have a problem where the church has a big issue with what we call secular music. I practice law. I don't know which church or religion my clients belong to. In fact, lots of my clients are companies, so I don't even know what they belong to, right?
Yeah.
They bring their work to me, I do it, I'm paid, and I move on. But if I appear on stage as a professional musician. So I'm a lawyer who probably goes to church, but I work for all of these people outside the church, and I get paid. But if I am a musician who also goes to church, and the next day I am seen on TV performing with what is called a secular artist, I'll be in a lot of trouble. Now, I cannot resolve that dilemma. And I always say that you sort it out with yourself, because ultimately you are the one who will give account. I have seen that the strict dichotomy between don't play this kind of music, it's sacred and secular, is sometimes blurred.
Okay.
And when I say it, my friends who are in church get very unhappy. Should I say it?
Please say it. We have more time.
A
Please say
lot
it.
of some songs which were deemed secular have found their way in the church. If I pick a basic Yamponsan progression, it will play several gospel songs. And several secular songs. I have a list of them that I sit down and I just laugh. We have a progression called Dagomba. The do, so, do, mi, fa, so, isn't that what we use for praise in between it? But it didn't start in the church. We learned it from the high life groups. We, excuse me, let me give an example. Yewo nyamia yewazo Christopher Mbebiofia. Yewazo yara soko Western region yewazo ya. Okay, so have we, by changing the lyrics, spiritualized it?
Maybe.
When it is the same chord progression. Look, the jury's out on that. I make no judgments. But I always also say that if I was in country, and because I was in Joyful Way, I didn't play for the school band. One day, if I went with the school band for them to perform, they almost sacked me from the group. I didn't go and perform, I went with them. If I had gone with the school drama group to perform, I wouldn't have been in trouble. But once it was music, I was in trouble. And let me be honest, yes, I have been quite rebellious.
And you were in trouble with Joyful Way?
Yeah, I'm telling you, the leaders of Joyful Way in the school at the time, I was in trouble. But I've been quite rebellious my whole life. I admit that. My son in power. So I sometimes when I meet the big people, I push them on some of these things. You see, often they don't even know. And so I'm saying, I am enjoyable.
Okay.
Let's learn on these things. I understand where he's coming from and the anger. I watched that video where one preacher referred to musicians who charge as thieves. It's one preacher.
Yeah, I saw that video too.
And when the young men and young ladies complained to me, I asked them one question. I don't know how this sounds. Do you think he could have said that if I was the one sitting behind the keyboard?
Wow.
Can you imagine me sitting behind a keyboard in my church playing, and apparently he was a guest preacher.
Oh.
And a guest preacher comes in, asks me to come forward, and calls me a thief. You see, that is why I say that you must decide on what you want to do and where you want to do it.
Okay.
This is at the beginning. In asking me to devote more time to the work at the church, are we agreeing that you will pay me? If the decision is that no, in my church we believe that music should be provided for free, then your answer will be, okay, also for thank you. Then can I just limit myself to rehearsals and Sundays? So that on Monday to Tuesday, I will go about what is called my tent making business.
Yeah.
Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And so this discord shouldn't happen. It shouldn't happen. Because as also so, do you understand?
Yeah.
And you must respect yourself to get the respect. But if you don't speak and you keep being drawn in, and now you are spending so many man hours and you are whinging and whining and grumbling, then it leads to these things. And so I say that this burden falls first on those of us who have been given the workmanship of the tabrets and the pipes. If we understand what it is, because the transition between one and the other could be very, very quick.
Great.
And so I'll say that I don't want us to highlight these things. I think that I understand the anger, but we can't feed on the anger.
All right.
Every musician or music player or singer, ask yourself that question. And I took a lot of steps back from gospel music. And I say that now the other profession actually feeds my music skill. Right?
Okay.
If I find the time, I play. If I find the time, I buy what I want to buy and play what I want to play, my own time. But if I tell you the amount of hours I devote to music, it will shock you. It is not easy. If I'm doing a recording for Joyful Way,
yeah,
right, all night, so we'll do the things. The guy is mixing. He sends it to me. I can listen to a track 50 times, and the engineers will tell you, God bless you. I will give you notes at 5.01. The middle notes in the keyboard should be a flat instead of a sharp.
Wow.
At 6.32, that's even the music stretch to 6 minutes. The tenor line, I think that instead of a straight out do, can she try a D on the chord and let's see what it sounds like. And now because of technology, she doesn't have to come back. They'll pitch correct. They'll just change the pitch and send it back to me. It will bounce back and forth. In fact, if I show you my phone, you see the origin of several songs and where they ended. I don't delete those things. With each track, it's a lot of work. Yeah. But I have decided that I will do it for free. It is my decision.
Great.
It is my choice.
Great.
Nobody can compel me to do it for free. Sorry, what can I mean? Do you understand? My mother used to say, "What's a ding? When near ding, what's somewhere ding?" And all of it. So I want to listen. Say what you want to say. So please decide for yourself. The work isn't easy. We often see the final product, but what Edwin goes through
before
to prepare.
Yeah.
If you have seen them rehearse, when he's learning his octaves, do, 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 then you move, do, do, do. He's learning transitions in his head, transpositions in his head, modulations. You don't know you don't know the cost of the oil in his alabaster box.
Bars.
Right? And so you might not appreciate it. He knows the price he's paying. So please, I'm here to speak to the young gospel musicians. Decide now.
It's a major thing.
Decide now.
Personal decision.
Yeah.
I've seen. So I'll share this with you. From where I sit as a music pastor, I play with or I work with all the music guys in ICGC everywhere,
right,
internationally, all that. One time, one of my guys, let's say, one musician wanted to sort of step down, and came to me and said, I want to move elsewhere. I want to move elsewhere. And
leave the church?
Yeah, not leave the church, but stop playing this year.
Okay.
And I asked the person, I'm like, okay, so when you leave the church today, let's say the person is a drummer. When you leave the church today, are you going to another church to play? He says yes. Okay, so what are you going to do in the other place? Person says, I'm going to play the drums again. I'm like, wait a minute. How long have you worked in this church of yours? I've worked like 15 years. So you are leaving 15 years. After 15 years, you are going to another church to play as a drummer. He said yes. I said, can you see what I'm trying to point out to you? It means that if you thought that you were going forward, you actually haven't gone forward. You've not added anything after 15 years. You should actually live here after being a drummer, live here as a keyboardist, a bassist, even a pastor, a director, so that when you find yourself in this next church, you don't just drop a CV and say, I'm a drummer from this church. I'm more than a drummer from that church. Good. So my point is value. And I'm saying this because sometimes we the musicians, we don't add the value to ourselves. One, and we are also not assertive. Two, we also don't know the how to. Of course, there are some pastors you can't just approach them, and I've talked about some of these relationships between pastors and musicians, how hard they make it for us to sometimes approach or tell them our problems. But some way, somehow, you should not stay there complaining, because it's not healthy for you. You should be able to take a decision and say that, look, I'm going to the accountant and this is the point. I've been working here, I've been doing this, I've done more than what any volunteer would have done. Please, can we sign a document so that I take care of myself? And if the pastor is going to even use you to preach, forget about that. My response to what Uncle Ernesto said is that I think to a certain extent, let's be hard on everybody, because it's not just pastors who abuse people who serve them. They are CEOs, they are managers and all that who take advantage of people and don't take care of other needs of them. Nonetheless, I know the pastor musician thing is a big issue. I wish that if you're a pastor and listening to us, I think take counsel and start considering some of these things. It's not hard. They are not demanding so much. I think the comparison which is wrong I hear is, what about ushers and what about all that? And I think we've said it over here. If you choose to serve without money, that is excellent. That is beautiful. But if this is beyond just service and this is what you depend on, I think that it is fair that we pay some good money to take care of people.
And
that's
okay. So maybe can I jump in? Okay.
Let me
Uncle Ken.
quickly. Let me go to Uncle Ken, then I come back to you.
Sure.
George, then I come back to you.
Sure.
Uncle Ken, please, let's hear you.
What an interesting discussion.
Yeah.
I just wish I could just sit back and listen to the professionals speak, on these matters. But I actually listened to Bishop
Dakie
Wood Mills, and I was slightly worried about his delivery. I seem to think, because he spoke about training people within his church to play, and he even went further to say that he, as the pastor, can play all instruments.
It's actually true. When he was in Calvary Road, and he played the keyboard very well. Oh, not a showboy part. He could cross his hands and play.
Oh wow!
Wow! He's a very good musician.
I'm not doubting that.
No. Before you go on, just to top up, let's also acknowledge that Bishop Dag has also treated some musicians very well, even before this decision.
And I think you're speaking within the context.
Yes.
You must always understand Bishop Dag when he speaks. It is about his church, and you're speaking from a specific experience. If we don't have that context, it might sound.
I haven't said anything.
Yes, you haven't said anything yet.
Uncle Ken, please continue.
Yes, please continue.
My point is,
please continue.
I asked myself a question. But if all this happens within his church, he trains people, he plays himself, and that. So what is he complaining about? Yeah. That was my first question.
The context, you're right.
Right? What is he complaining about? Then I realized that his complaint might stem from the fact that maybe an organization within his church was organizing something and invited outsiders to come and perform. And those outsiders charged for the performance and therefore got him riled up.
No, that's not.
I'm not sure. Okay.
I'm saying
an assumption.
That's my assumption.
That's cool.
Because otherwise, I said to myself, if this is what happens in your church, then what's the problem? What necessitated that sermon?
Yeah.
It was the sermon on Judas and money.
Okay. And that anybody who does things for God for money.
So he was using that as like an example of.
Okay.
Not necessarily. He was saying that people who just set money before them would do anything.
Right.
To get money.
And a bit of the history. They say if you're advising the cat, then you're also advising the mouse.
Yeah.
There have been times when church service is about to start, and the musicians have gone on strike.
Oh,
They
yeah.
say we won't play today unless we paid. That is the kind of thing that
it happens. Yeah,
Yeah, it happens. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It never happens in Kodesh.
Good.
Everybody always there.
No, so
I am-
he's speaking to a lot of context, and
I am very happy.
I've seen that before.
I'm very happy the
And
way
went to IMO.
my submission is going,
Yeah.
because as I raise my
You are
issues,
bringing out a lot
Fleshes
of.
out.
Let's hear you.
my professionals are giving me answers
Yeah.
to my issues. A thing that baffles me most is this characterization of musicians who play in churches as instrumentalists. And therefore, some people think instrumentalists are different from musicians.
Okay.
They are musicians.
And that is where I got very, very angry. I said, instrumentalists are musicians.
Yeah.
Who do we classify as musicians and who do we classify as instrumentalists? Ace made the point. Back in the day, when bands were actually recording and stuff like that, there were very good musicians who were known as session musicians. So if this group was going to record, they would invite this session guitarist, they would invite this session trombonist, they would invite this session drummer, because they knew of the person's works and felt that he bringing his expertise to their craft will benefit what they want to achieve.
Yeah.
So I do not like that classification as instrumentalists. They are musicians.
Band boys.
I'm a proud man.
Yes,
It doesn't worry me.
they are musicians.
No, you said bamboy crack and yeah, bamboy.
Band boy.
Shabu.
Okobo Shabu.
Okobo Shabu.
You know?
Uncle Ken, have you landed?
No,
Okay.
hey, I just started.
Oh, okay. Okay, please continue. We have time for you. Don't worry.
He allows interjections all the time.
Uncle Ken, continue. I'll come to George later and then Nina.
Any pastor can stand on stage. Me, this is what I have witnessed.
Yeah.
Any pastor can stand on stage and decide to quote a section of scripture to suit his argument. And another can rebuff that argument with yet another scripture.
Yeah.
So you see, I get so confused when these scriptures are thrown against each other and someone says, okay, in the Old Testament, musicians or people who played music in churches were paid for their services. But in the New Testament, there's nothing like musicians being paid for their services in church. And then the person who quotes the Old Testament to back his claim says that, okay, so you now show me where in the New Testament where people are supposed to pay tithes. Kwame, do you get where I'm coming from?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
he said,
yes.
show me where in the New Testament where people are supposed to pay tithes. Because back in the old ages, tithes were supposed to be paid for people to enjoy together. Yes.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So you see, we are all getting confused. And this is where my problem with a lot of the pastors.
Pastor.
No, let him. No, he's a pastor. So
Okay.
let him.
All right.
Uncle Ken, I think that for me, listening to what you're saying, which is true, I stretch my mind. I see it's also true in other disciplines.
Oh yes.
Yes. So it only means that there should be a certain reliable line of interpretation. And when people go out, we have this kind of differences. So my answer to that is that different interpretations are due to a certain principle or lenses people go. And when you study theology, we will tell you there are wrong ways of going into a scripture to interpret it. So sometimes you can prove text, which means that you just say something and you find a scripture to support it. Okay. And other times too, you go into the scripture with your own mindset. And the right way is to take the scripture and say, what does the scripture say from the top to the end? I want to just focus on maybe just verse 2.
Exactly.
But I have to start from
speak for itself.
verse 1. Or even go back
This is like the Constitution.
Context.
context, yes. Pretext, context, and post-text. So, for example, I'll give you an example. For example, I've heard many people quote Daniel chapter 11, verse 32 and say, that those who know the Lord shall do exploit. They shall do exploit. But, and it works because for us, exploit is like power and all that. But if you study that text, the best way to understand just that verse is to go to chapter 8, chapter 10, chapter 8, and chapter 7 to understand what dreams God gave to Daniel all the way and what Daniel was now experiencing. And that text simply means those who know their God will stand their grounds and resist the flatterer. That's actually the meaning. But people can just go this way. So interpretation will bring variation if it is not done well. I want to just say finally that I don't think the pastors are confused. I think that...
I don't think they're confused. I said they're confusing us.
Yes, so I think that the best way to do, to not to also get confused, is to learn how to interpret the Bible. And you can do it yourself if you go on the internet. There are strict and better ways.
Which is something a lot of Christians don't do anyway.
Let's
admit.
All right, thank you.
Uncle Ken, please, have you landed?
Oh, Kwame, I only just started.
We don't
Landed
tell you
matter.
anything
It's
for
not
ourselves.
Okay.
All we know is what the pastor said. My pastor says this.
Uncle Ken, okay,
Kwame.
over to you.
Kwame,
But anyway,
Yes, boss.
this matter is a matter that has been raised several times over the years.
Yes.
And it's like everything else in this country. We raise issues, we never agree
We'll come back to it.
on a resolution. We never come to a resolution.
After 48 hours.
Now, as I'm for take you over. You know.
We are binary like that.
And
1 0 1.
I happened to see a video of Pastor
Stephen one.
No.
Eastwood Anaba.
Anaba. Eastwood
yes,
Anaba.
yes. Proper reason.
Yes, and Eastwood was very different.
Yes, totally different.
Totally different from what Bishop Dag was saying.
Right.
Pastor Eastwood Anaba was saying that musicians are the soul
Very important. Yes.
of the ministry. Look, how many?
Uncle Ken, I beg. Can I help you by playing Eastwood Anaba's voice?
Oh, okay.
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 Let's look at it.
The kind of organist you have, the kind of drummer you have, the kind of bass guitarist you have, the kind of musician and singer you have will determine how far you go in ministry. No, listen. If you are a dedicated preacher without a dedicated singer and dedicated musicians, you cannot move in signs and wonders. Since I came, did you hear me giving them songs? These people don't live with me in Bolga. But it looks like Archie knows a song to play. It looks like Emmanuel knows what to do. It looks like they know what to do. So there are times I minister and I get into a place and a door must open and they open the door. When we're talking about you guys, he said these people, they are dedicated. This is what they do. I salute you. I salute you. I appreciate you. I salute you. You know what, pastors, take care of their instrumentalists well. Pay them well, look after them well, give them good food to eat, look after them well, show interest in them, let them know that they are important and they are vital to the ministry. Let them come on full time if they have to come on full time, and look after them well because they carry the fuel for signs and wonders. Come on, shout a yes and press.
Uncle Ken, I'm
Yes.
sure this is also an old video.
Yeah, it's an old one.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he wasn't even in his home church.
Yes.
He was in
He was
another,
in somebody else's church.
another
Oh,
church.
okay.
Yeah.
And that's what's true. Yeah.
It wasn't a response to
No,
that.
it's not a response to what
he
Dad
won't.
said.
But
No.
it's two organizations stating how their organizations would work and operate.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You would find that some of the international preachers, they go with their own keyboardist and their own singer.
Sure.
Because yes, because the people have worked with them for a long time, right? And they know what songs to raise to help him. It's a typical bring me a minstrel situation.
Okay.
So they work with their minstrel, usually a keyboardist and a singer.
They understand their music language.
And sometimes before they reach there. Now, if you've worked with this organization, you understand. And I think that we should not misunderstand Bishop Dag. I think he was speaking to a particular situation.
Yeah.
Because I know that this man, before he goes to a place, he sends the musicians ahead. They go and teach the choirs. And I know this because I keep saying that he has made my song Wahini probably the most translated gospel song in Africa.
Wow.
Because every country that he's gone to, they've translated it, taught the choir, and the choir has sung it. So he has at least one person go ahead, sometimes months, to go and interact with the choirs. So I think he was speaking. No, I don't want to go names, but I think that he was speaking to a specific event. So it shouldn't really be blown out of it, right? And there's something about Bishop Dag. You really should listen to his full sermons. If you take one line, you might completely misunderstand what he said. He says he packs a lot in one. And I'm not here to defend him, but I think that maybe some of the angst over it is because we just got
maybe we should go find the full video.
Slice, then take time. He doesn't preach for more than an hour.
Yeah, but Ace, you see, just before I end, Ace, Bishop Dag, he knows, like you're saying, says it as it is, But unfortunately for me, he's had some bad press.
Yes.
Over the past year or two. Some with his own pastors, which became a blown up thing.
But it wasn't a music issue.
I'm saying, so we're looking at the person.
Great. You are right, but can we please stick to the music side? So
it's important. It's important. Okay, let me veer from.
You are judging him from another.
I'm not judging you. I'm just saying that.
Yes.
This is something that is in the minds of the people who are listening to him on this matter.
I can understand that.
Yes. Yes.
On this matter.
Yeah, but let's stick to this matter.
Okay.
Okay.
Saying that those who are complaining that they are placing it within that context.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Which for me is not fair.
It is not fair, but
okay.
That's what human beings do.
I can understand.
Most of the time. All I want to say about this matter is I don't think that pastors in churches should use ministry to intimidate people who want to volunteer or who can volunteer in the churches into thinking that if they can use their crafts to earn monies elsewhere, they shouldn't do so, but stay there and just do volunteerism.
Thank you very much, Uncle Ken.
I think that is not right.
Great. Joy 99.7 FM, Showbiz A to Z. We're talking about whether it is right or not to pay musicians in church. Should they be paid? Let me get to George Quay and pick his thoughts on this particular one. George.
Yes.
Yeah.
Charlie, today I came to be schooled. No. I came to be school. I'm just observing. Okay. Fortunately, there's a lawyer here. Yeah. So, Senior Muba, I mean, we're in this room. If somebody slaps me right now, what do I do?
Well, turn the left.
Well, I'll tell you what. It's a very technical. It might be just a slap. It triggers both criminal and civil liability.
Is there any book that we can use as a reference point if I want to take this case somewhere?
Several. You get a lawyer. He picks up his criminal law textbook or his law of torts textbook. And I'll tell you something about the slap. If he just shan't you body, like I raised my hand, that alone is a different tort.
Attempt.
I have put you, that's the tort of assault.
Yeah.
I have put you in fear of immediate unpermitted contact with the person.
Thank you.
When the slap actually lands, that is battery. So that the motion that puts you in fear is assault. The contact is battery. So two thoughts have been confirmed. But if I stabbed you from behind and you didn't see it, then it's only battery. It's not assault.
Assault.
Wow.
Because you didn't see it.
So, yeah.
So you see why the law is described in certain circles as a three-letter word.
Hold on.
And if I may respond, yes, the law is called an ass because, and not because it is idiotic or stupid.
Yeah.
Because it is obstinate.
Exactly.
It's as obstinate as a donkey.
Donkey. Yeah.
Oh,
It is,
okay.
Is that the reason?
Yeah. If the donkey says you won't go,
Yeah,
you won't go. It's almost like
law
the donkey in the
doesn't
Bible
change.
who refused to go.
Yeah.
If a donkey won't go, you won't go. So the term the law is an ass doesn't
Okay.
mean the law is idiotic or stupid. It means that the law is obstinate. Maybe
But how do we describe an ass?
Okay, let me make my point there.
obstinate. Obstinate.
Just continue, please.
I like the fact that you see the way Ace answered it means it's there. He knows this. He's learnt it and all that. And people will tell you that as a country, if you really want to know the rules, regulations, and everything, we go to the Constitution, right? Everything that governs the country. Yes, that is as a country. If I were a Muslim and we were discussing something to do with faith or whatever it is,
Islam.
we'd go to what the
The
Quran.
Quran, yeah.
And writings.
And stuff. So as Christians, where do we go to?
The Bible.
The Bible.
Yeah.
So what does the Bible say
Say.
about this issue?
Okay.
You know, before I came in, I was looking at a few texts. And Kwame, you may want to help me read. Let us see what's in, which is the first of the texts. It's somewhere in Nehemiah. Is it Nehemiah 13:10 or 11?
I think I have it here.
Yes.
Printed
Yeah.
up.
Check that
Okay.
for me first.
Let me. Okay, Nehemiah 13:3 to 10.
No, 13, 10, 11.
10.
Yes.
Okay, let me do the 10.
Nehemiah 13:10. What does it say?
Says, I also learned that the portions assigned to the Levites had not been given to them, and that all the Levites and musicians responsible for the service had gone back to their own fields. So I rebuked the officials and asked them, why is the house of God neglected? Then I called them together and stationed them at their posts.
Pastor, what does it mean?
No.
If I can be helped.
Before Pastor comes, I will do the lawyer.
Please do that.
I'm not a pastor.
Yeah.
Okay.
I never was meant to be,
Okay.
and so I don't make any pretenses at that. Yeah. But I know a bit about the institution of music.
Yeah.
Historically, it was not a part of the liturgy.
Right.
It came spontaneously. So, for example, when they crossed the Red Sea, then they sang the chariots and his horses have been okay.
All right.
The introduction of music as part of the liturgy actually came with David.
Right.
And you must remember that the Mosaic group existed. And David was almost a rebel who had come in from Philistine and captured the throne.
Yeah.
And then it was David who really introduced these. And so when you read, it says that, and he appointed Levites, he appointed singers.
Yes, singers.
So Asaph, Heman, Jeduthun, led by Chenaniah, right? They were appointed.
Exactly.
It was their full-time job.
Okay.
They did nothing else.
Apart from
Let's understand it from that purpose. Great. And so, but the time Nehemiah was coming in from exile, and everything was basa because the Israel had been captured, and instead of doing it now, because they couldn't pay them, they had left and gone to their own fields. But the institution that David put in place was that they were supposed to be paid, and that is the root of the word, even the word, the tithe. It was supposed to go to the Levites.
Yeah.
But you must remember that the Levitical order at the time, really, music was not caught. So David brought it in. And in fact, David expanded the lines a little because he himself was not a Levite, but he wore a linen ephod. Which was, technically he would have been prepared. So David expanded it Solomon crystallized it.
Yeah.
With the whole dedication of the temple and having people whose job was to play music alone. So when Nehemiah returned, he found out that because they couldn't pay them, or maybe they were not collecting the tithes or using the tithe for some other people, they had gone into their own.
They had left, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So he had to bring them back.
So for am I?
Wow.
Yeah. So
Pastor Dadzie.
Oh no, I don't even want to go into Second Chronicles. I would actually want to go. Take me to First Chronicles. But you see, this explanation, it all goes back to the same thing.
Right.
And I like where A started from, where council started from. They were appointed.
Appointed. Okay.
Yes.
Now, let us be frank. I don't think really that today there's, I could be wrong, that there are people who are solely dedicated to church ministry music, like 9 to 5. That's what they do. They wake up Monday to Friday. There are people like that. Like, no, you are a pastor. It's a different conversation.
But there are others like that too.
But there are people like that.
Yes.
I supervise musicians.
You supervise musicians.
Who work
Good.
9 to 5.
Good.
I mean, we used to have a full orchestra.
Yeah.
I mean, full time.
Yes.
And then we had the contemporary band.
Okay.
Well, you don't have the
But you're paid. But you're paid for that service.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I mean full time.
Good.
Yeah,
So you're paid for
and
that.
his
So
band.
that is what. So
So
good.
his
And the
drama
band is also
everything.
paid. So everybody else is paid.
So Ezra's drama goes to work 9 to 5.
9 to
play
5
drums.
to play drums, and he is paid for that,
Yes.
which is a good thing. Are they allowed to play other gigs
Right,
that
in
may
the
come
9 to
their
5
way if it's convenient?
Outside their work schedule,
Outside their work.
They do. They are
I mean,
allowed to.
I'm also a
Good.
recording artist,
Good.
so I do outside my work.
Good, good.
I do that.
And for me, I think that is where we need to take the conversation to. You see, in Ularu to me is the gods are not to blame. There's a line that I love: a bush does not sway this way or that way unless there is wind. I don't think Bishop Dag just got up to say what he said. There must be some background to what he said.
Yeah.
And my post on Facebook, which you made reference to,
Yeah.
I said it clearly that a man of God had invested resources, and we all know, like he mentioned earlier on, music equipment is not cheap these days. They are not cheap. If man of God has invested resources into setting up a whole school to train people, would it be too much to ask that you dedicate a little time to playing for free for the church? Personally, I don't think so. However, if, like we are saying, it's going to be what you're doing full time, people have bills to pay. If I'm not going to do anything else, then naturally it would be appropriate that the church pays me something because I have bills. Otherwise, I would end up becoming an armed robber. I'll come play at night, I'll carry gun and go take money because I have to eat, I have to feed. So it makes perfect sense that if they are solely otherwise, but if it is not a full-time thing, you appear maybe once or twice in a week to rehearse, and then on Sunday morning you show up to play for 2-3 services, and then the rest of the skill that you have gained from learning from the church's setup and everything, you can go play a gig somewhere. OCBSI is having a concert, they need a guitarist, or like council mentioned, they are recording for somebody, they need you to play some chords or something on there, and you're paid for it and all that. Really, I don't see why you should come back to be hustling the church for money. Personally, but if it is what you do, yes, if it is what you do full time, because look, really, grace comes differently. I keep telling people that sometimes we think, oh, this guy is a banker and he's doing so well, I can also be a banker. Oh, boy. You may not do so well, even if you get a higher post in banking than he is, because look, everything. My former boss, Mr. Yolaya, the CEO of Charterhouse, God bless, not my former, he'll forever be my boss. Today is his birthday, in a way. Happy birthday to him.
Happy birthday
and
to him.
And unfortunately, he lost his mother, I think, yesterday. Deepest condolences. It's condolences and birthday. You know, he always said that sometimes you look at things people are doing and you think you can do them. That person's grace is different. God blessed each and every single one of us differently. So the fact that somebody is doing it doesn't mean you can also do it.
Sure.
And all that. So even within the church setup, the instrumentalists and everything, the talent levels will not be same. The talent levels will not be same. But if somebody dedicates all their time, all their everything to the church and say, I am not doing it, could be because they couldn't find any other job elsewhere. But really, that is why the church is supposed to be the home that saves us all.
Yeah.
And I would also like to plead, if there are pastors out there who are taking advantage of these people, because this person, once in a while I'll carry my brown envelope with my CV in, go walk around. Until I find something, I'll be here, I'll play for you. It doesn't mean you should take advantage of the person and not give the person anything. You understand? That is actually quite callous, if you ask me. Especially when you know that this is a person who has a wife, has children, or has a husband, has children, has other people relying on them, and then you're looking at them. They are playing, they are contributing to your minute. And like we all rightly said here, if the thing is going live, it's online, and the music is the soul of almost everything.
Sure.
Radio stations, TV stations, all of them, they all won't survive without music. Let us wake up tomorrow morning and there is no music. The world will be dead. That probably will be the end of the world.
Actually, there's a school of thought that says that even creation occurred in the midst of music.
It must.
I think it's Job.
Yeah, Job.
Yeah, who that said that as he created, the stars sang for joy.
Exactly.
So it is a very critical aspect of everything that we do. And so look, I think we're all saying the same thing. Ultimately, we are not here to bash one side or the other. But I want to speak to my people, my boys. Guys, listen, add value to yourselves. Some of you think way too highly of yourselves than you ought to think. Some of you, we can tell that the skill isn't there yet, but meanwhile the show you are doing with the little, take your time, learn, study. And you see, in our time it was very difficult to find resources. Now it's free. There's something called YouTube. My nephew is self-taught, basically through YouTube. Now I can't meet him. Where he is, no.
Far gone.
Padre is far gone, right? We see Jude Kofi. If you don't know Jude Kofi, you don't know what's happening in the world. This is a 13-year-old boy.
I know him.
Yeah.
Right?
Knows all the keys on the board.
Oh my word! And I've been following him for about 2 years. His progress in 2 years is amazing. He's being spoken of as one of the top talented black kids in the world.
Wow.
He's a Ghana boy.
Yeah.
He was born in the US. His play is amazing. But in interviews he says he sometimes plays 8 hours a day.
That's right.
8 hours.
That's right.
Minimum 3 hours. This is a schoolboy. So he will go to school and come back play. And you can see his skill improving as time goes on. He has a tutor. But when he plays and the tutor plays,
you can tell the difference.
The teacher should sit aside. I think the boy can teach the teacher. All right. So my guys, listen. Sit down and assess something for yourself. The script says that if you are going to build a house, you must put your bottles down.
Exactly. And calculate.
Great.
Count the cost.
George, in making
let me finish. I didn't finish.
I just want to add that.
When you were talking, you didn't allow me to
In making your
I know that.
No. I just want to learn. But let Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken, please go ahead. Yes.
Okay, Uncle Ken.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am sitting here and I'm asking myself, what has caused all this uproar about what the bishop said? What is it that has caused the uproar?
For me, mine was even more of what the Nigerian pastor said.
Oh, you forget the Nigerian pastor. Forget
The old one.
The Nigerian pastor one.
Yeah, I remember.
I think
Which was actually even more.
Yes, forget the Nigerian pastor.
But he even said that there's nothing like music ministry.
But that matter is very big.
Yes, it's very big. But
was even worse.
you leave that pastor aside.
Yes.
I am trying to say that. I'm trying to say.
Long time. Yeah.
From time to
trying
time,
to say
it gets
that.
a vent.
Social media
Okay, Uncle Ken, let's hear you.
is what is causing some of these issues, because I'm asking myself, from what we have seen on social media about what Bishop Dag was supposed to have said, was that the beginning of his sermon?
No. Neither was it the end.
It's just about.
Was it the middle of his sermon?
Was in the middle. He was talking about
somewhere in the
Judas
sermon.
Yeah.
money.
You tried to bring that up, and I'm saying that because we don't get to see
The full.
We jump.
It's always where excites, the
People
portion that
will
excites.
edit out what they want
And then
from the speech,
And then
Again, that is not people. That is a general media problem.
And
the other
that's
time
what
I was
I'm saying,
fighting Kwame
and the media have
Dadzie.
made
Kwame
it
Dadzie knows where I'm going to. We had a similar conversation. I said something on Hits FM, and by the time the story was out, it was the sensational part, which
Exactly.
I think it had to do with John
Exactly.
DeMello's vetting thing
I
or
think
something.
so.
Yes, and I had made a point that if it were me, my vetting would have ended that day. For somebody who's supposed to be a lawmaker to tell me that, here that you are coming, leave all that your concert, we don't act or something, Parliament is a serious place, that would have been the end of my vetting. So I was quite disappointed in John not taking the opportunity to make a statement for the arts. Right there, because look, we've had similar situations. A quiz mistress sat on radio and said that while one school were learning, others were drumming and dancing. I mean, how? And we've been hearing
But
these
again,
things
you talk
time and
context.
again. Yes,
What was the context?
exactly. So that was what I said, and the point I made was that the media organizers, they left everything else. I mean, it was a long presentation. They picked only that part. I'm disappointed in John DeMello. That was the only part that they picked, and that was the story.
So everything we have said here, you'll be amazed that they will pick from one line.
Exactly.
Exactly. Today I can reveal to you.
Yes.
That's one of the key reasons why
It's a big problem.
radio.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it is a big problem, Uncle Ken, and you're very right. And that is exactly what Bishop Dag is facing. You understand? And we'll pick little parts. But for me, I was saying early on that I think he did not just get up to get there. We've agreed that he was preaching. Beyond the preaching, he is human. And I'm sure he probably might have had an encounter with a certain group of musicians at some point. Those things do not just come up.
And George, I'm saying, if you know, I mean, by the time Bishop Dark is taking this decision, and he's saying
Yes.
he's done
a lot of
for musicians. I mean, when I was in tech, we were looking up to his not because I wasn't really in I wasn't in ICGs, but those of us in tech, I was in gospel exploration, and we're so happy about what Bishop Dark is doing for the musicians, and I will mention him. There are a lot of them, and we're like, we can't wait to finish and also become church musicians until things turned in their church. And I don't want to go into that church polity and all that, but we have to give him that credit that he has contributed. I mean, Bishop Dark has started certain things in the Christendom, even with the art, that you have no idea. That is what most churches pattern after. So
never might have
all right,
that they went on. So, Kwame, in conclusion, while saying this, we also cannot lose sight of the fact that there are some men of God out there who take an unfair advantage of musicians and other people who serve in their churches.
Great.
We would plead, beg. Some of us were raised not to touch the anointed.
Sure.
So we cannot.
You shouldn't.
So we can only plead, we beg them. Look, Charlie, Chromia Ding, it's not that easy. Even if it is not their 9 to 5 and there's a little you can do to support them, it may not be financial. If there is that door you can open for them, if there is that person in that company that you can speak to, that, I have a son in my church, I'll let him come see you with a CV on Monday. Before the person goes, pray with him, sit down, do a pre-interview, guide your flock. You're the shepherd. You understand? So I just want to plead with each and every single man of God out there, especially those that take advantage, unfair and undue advantage of people. They know themselves. We don't need to come here to mention names. We are only praying and begging.
But I've said it very, very nicely. I'll also tell you that some of what I don't say is that I bear in my physical body a lot of wounds from this.
Yeah.
Wow. Yes. And maybe my emotional body, and it sort of informs what I do sometimes. Yes, I said, look, don't put in. Look, I've said what I have to say, but I agree with you that maybe the church body and some leaders ought to rethink what they think about the people who provide the music.
Okay.
And in one scenario I'm familiar with, look, I lived in this country when church choirs went on tours outside Ghana, and only about 2 of them returned. There's a big church in Accra that took its choir to the US, and very few returned. Everybody ran away.
The hand of God touched them.
No, all right. And so I've seen things. There was one scenario where, and let me paint this without going. The group went on tour. Majority of them paid their tickets to go on the tour, and some of the things you know about some of the American churches is that when you go, there's honorarium.
Yeah.
But they also recorded an album before they went, so they made money. And when the group returned, they returned with money. They returned with new equipment.
Great.
The fight was that the leader gave each member of the team $100
And they wanted more.
to shop. No. Why did you give money
Wow.
to them?
Oh.
Majority of them paid their way.
Wow.
Of course, the church organization pitched in some amount of money. That was recovered and returned with more. And there was equipment, new keyboards, new bass, new microphones.
And yet they were still upset
The
about
issue
$100 per member.
was the $100.
Interesting.
$100 enter mic. Okay. And so I think that we ourselves, I mean, we need to look at it from all directions.
Great.
And I think that some of the old, let me be honest with you. In times past, how many of our parents would have been happy if you said you were going to play band? But boy,
you've heard my story.
just a one bob
Concert boy.
concept
No,
boy.
you've had the story.
You understand? I think that somehow some of this has it. I think some of it is cultural.
Great.
I think some of it is cultural, and so the attitudes ought to change. It's people's full-time job. But I have a lot of pain from past experiences where this is concerned, and I have learned my lessons.
Great.
And that is what shapes me. You won't force me to do anything. Who are you? Right? So
Okay.
the balance is important.
Let me ask Ni Naku if I can force him to do anything.
I mean, and I like something is kept emphasizing that the decision is yours. I mean, you have to decide. I noticed that some pastors want to decide for the musicians that whatever you need to do in church, or whatever you need to do in church, they now decide that if you want to do it here, it's for free. So, but you now need to decide. So I think what Bishop Dag is saying is that if, like he said, David appointed Asaph, whatever, like ICGC has appointed Pastor Edwin. Do you understand? They've appointed him. But maybe what Bishop Dag is saying is that, look, here, I'm not going to appoint you as a musician. I'm not going to appoint you and pay you. Maybe there are certain categories of people who actually get appointments. They also do music, but but I'm not going to appoint you. So if it is here that you want me to appoint you and pay you, then this is not a church. But the context is very, very important.
Yeah.
That we train you. Okay, so we are training you, and then you also do this for the church. As to the quality of the training, and something is said from the beginning that, look, maybe certain churches don't really care about getting somebody of a certain quality. So we will use what we have trained.
Exactly.
It doesn't really matter the kind of quality they are giving us. I made a call to a number of churches, before I came. I spoke with the spokesperson of the Pentecost. They told me that in the Pentecost church, it's a no-no.
What is no?
They don't pay anybody
At all.
at all, like zero. They don't pay anybody at all. But it's a policy of the Pentecost church.
which works
But
for you.
maybe the certain individual churches may consider certain things and decide that, if when Minister X come to saying, let's give him some honorarium. But otherwise, the rule of thumb is no. I made a call to Anglican. They told me, they pay church choir master and organist. But the rest, they don't pay anything. At the end of the year, they find a way to appreciate them.
Yeah,
you understand?
Fundraising, then.
Presbyterian church, it depends on which congregation. Certain congregations say they pay something small. So others say they don't pay at all. So I think there's no hard and fast rule to it. So the way
that is that you see, then you determine what you get.
Exactly.
Good.
So
if you are going to bring, you say you won't pay. If you are going to bring an artist from the United States, you are not going to pay that artist less than $80,000 just for showing up. And not just that, you will buy ticket for the artist, and not just the artist, the band. And there's one we did. The main artist only flies business class, only sleeps in suites, not normal hotel rooms, and only drives in a Mercedes. Gospel.
I was actually coming there. Let me learn.
Yeah, please.
I was actually coming there that look. So you take all these decisions and we don't pay and everything. But then like you invite Edwin, excuse me to use you. You invite Pastor Edwin. If they invite Pastor Edwin to my church, listen, I'm sitting in the church because I am a church member there. When I mount the stage and sing, they don't care about whether I'm Alabaster Box or I'm not paying. Pastor Edwin comes, he's giving front row. Listen to me very carefully. And then his band's men, excuse me, band boy for then then they sit behind him. They are giving some. When they finish singing, they take them to a place, give them the VIP, treat them and everything. And then I will sit in the church, and then other instrumentalists are also sitting there. Say, if they are doing this,
I did better.
You have become like the brother of the podcast.
I tell you. So if they can do all this then next time, and let me also go and find a group or somebody, maybe a Joe Metal or something, go and play with him. So because if I play with someone like Edwin, I will get this kind of treatment. And yet the same church who is not paying these people, when the people say, let's go and look for opportunities out there, then they will say, oh, you are a rebel. You are disloyal.
I hear
all right.
Edwin pays law.
All right.
Yes.
So sorry.
Clarify something. You said something about and Ace has also mentioned that you cannot force me to do what I don't want to do. Not everybody has that power. In fact, generally, the average Ghanaian is raised to be very timid.
Yeah.
That is what the Nigerians have over us. And it takes grace for some of us to be able to stand our ground and say, you cannot force me. Some of us, we can walk away. I mean, you understand. It's not everybody who has that grace or that kind of upbringing. That's why it's important you take your children to Fansbom School. Can I just say something?
Okay, so
I just want to offer some feel.
Yeah, I'll come to you.
Okay,
I'll
great,
give that time.
great.
But in the meantime, let's take a spin. When we come back, we have some more time to talk about this topic right here on Joe 99.7 FM.
Good.
Hey, so as for you, every day you are just pressing your phone. Why? Are they paying you?
They are, Oma. The more I use my MTN, the more points I get. And I can use those points to get airtime, data, and even discounts at shops and restaurants.
Hey, so that is why all of you are always pressing your phones. And you won't tell us, so that we too we can enjoy some.
Oh, ma.
There's always more to enjoy with MTN Rewards. Just keep talking, testing, and browsing all day, every day to collect your points and use it to redeem amazing offers and discounted freebies right away. There's so much available for you. So dial *550# and get your reward today. Let's go everywhere you go.
Kweku, have you heard what they are doing on MTN?
As part of the global goal of accelerating action for the Sustainable Development Goals, Women in Sustainability Africa, in partnership with
the Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection, the Ministry of Labor, Jobs and Employment, the Office of the Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability,
the UN Global Compact Ghana, the League of Extraordinary Women, and EIB Network presents
the launch and the first annual Women in Sustainability Africa Summit, WISA, under the theme, The Role of Women as Source of Labor and Agents of Sustainability.
The date is Thursday, 1st of May 2025. Time 8:30 a.m. The venue is Wesley Towers, Ridge, Accra.
All men, he for she champions, all women, women groups, NGOs, corporate institutions, civil society organizations. Let us come together to foster new perspectives to close the gaps in in gender inequality and the SDGs.
Special guest of honor, Honorable Agnes Namumulate, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Her Excellency Jewel Taylor, former Vice President of Liberia. Honorable Abdul Rashid Popo, Minister of Labor, Jobs and Employment, and Honorable Isifu Seidu, Minister of State for Climate Change and Sustainability.
Guest speakers, Dr. K.Y. Dilly, Community Impact Strategist and Global Partnerships Advisor. Honorable Abigail Elom Yamensa, CEO, Maslow. Nathan Kwabna Anoche Adisi, Bolare, CEO, EIB Network.
And our convener, Nana Yase Wasapo, Women and Sustainability Advocate.
To register, visit www.womeninsustainabilityafrica.org or contact +233 0207 331 444. Partners: MTN, Pegasus Realty, Maslock, Jospon Group, UNDP, the World Bank, Elohe Group, World Vision International, Genes Services, Appointed Time Screen Printing, the Methodist Church Ghana, Mamle's Kitchen. Media partners: GH1 TV, Star FM, Ago FM, Ago TV, Kasapa FM, Empire FM, Ultimate FM, GTV, Metro TV, Joy News, YFM, TV3, Angel TV, Joy FM, Daily Graphic, Daily Guide, Onuya TV, The Spectator, Mirror, Ghanaian Times, Adom FM, Adom TV, Bloggers, Konkonsa, Ameya Debra, Zion Felix, GH Kweku, GH Hyper, PNP Official. 1st of May, a day to remember women as source of labor and agents of sustainability.
Still right here on Joy 99.7 FM. This is the Superstation Showbiz A to Z. And we've been talking about whether musicians in churches should be paid. It's been very insightful so far. But in the meantime, what's your vibe this weekend? Are you having lunch with your clique this weekend? Or are you watching football as your favorite part of paying towards your school legacy project? Are you going shopping or paying the workers at the site this weekend? Or you were transferring money to your mother and Tiajwa or Papa this weekend? Whatever the vibe is, and whatever you are up to, pay everything with zero charges on my Momo app. Yes, it's free of charge all weekend. Download my Momo app now, and then just Momo it everywhere you go. Terms and conditions apply. Joy News, in partnership with McDonald Foundation, presents the finalists for 2025 Impact Makers Awards. From after-school programs to mental health advocacy, clean water projects, inclusive education, women empowerment, and more. These are the true agents of change-making. Extraordinary impacts in hard-to-reach communities across Ghana. So catch the inspiring stories on Joy News as we honor their efforts in reshaping lives one step at a time. Still here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's time to get rewarded as the next big sports betting influencer with Betway. Please bet and share your codes with friends, fans, and followers. If they place bet using your code, you earn 4% of their wager. It doesn't matter if it is a win or a loss. If they bet, you earn cash. And the more the people that bet with your code, the more you earn. Start betting, sharing, and winning with Bets Influencer. Exclusive to Betway. Terms and conditions apply. And you're tuning to Joy 99.7 FM. German Ozone Medical Center is a leading multidisciplinary healthcare facility with a strong focus on ozone therapy as core of clinical approach. Renowned for its therapeutic benefits, ozone therapy is integrated across their medical and dental services to support faster healing, enhanced immunity, and overall wellness. In addition to their specialized ozone-based treatments, they offer comprehensive outpatient care, advanced dental services, and operate a fully equipped implant center with an in-house dental laboratory, ensuring precision and efficiency. You can call them on 055 024 2222, 055 025 2222, or you can email them hello@gomc.com.gh. It's Joy 99.7 FM. Some of your messages right here. This one says, Osofo Dadzie, come and pay collection, This issue, personally, these musicians should be paid like any church worker who is paid for rendering service. It's okay if the musicians offer his service genuinely for free as a seed offering to God. Pastors should not be paid or take money from the church if musicians are not to be paid. If the church invested in the musician to acquire or polish the talent, then it's good to serve for free for some time, but not forever. The church should not take advantage of its members with skills in the name of God, in the name of God, the pastor enjoying from So still right here on Joy 99.7 FM. This is from John B. More of your messages right here. Hello guys. Ministration, no payment. Performance payment is required. Kofi Boashi, not too clear. Nana Kwesi. Okay. Ministration. Okay, I get it. Okay. And this one is from Nana Kwesi. And it says, one of the reasons I don't go to church is because of what Ofaken is saying. Same God and Bible, yet depending on who is reading determines what a quote means in addition to the hypocrisy. Makes me wonder if God is confused. Are you sure? Okay. Good afternoon, Brad Kwame. I think church instrumentalists shouldn't be paid, but should be given a token. Ajiman Joseph, Community 9. Okay, Ajiman Joseph, thank you very much for your comments. Do we have more? Okay, Joy 99.7 FM. Let's come in here. Hello, Kwame. Good afternoon, please. Church instrumentalists should be giving. All right, no curfew. Okay, so we have more. We have some more thoughts to share right here before we say goodbye to you here on Joy 99.7 FM. It's been very, very insightful. I've learned a lot through this discussion today on Showbiz A to Z. Let's go to UK. Let's start with UK blogger Kwesi Ernest. Let's do 1 minute, maybe 1.5 minutes each as closing remarks. So we say goodbye to our listeners. Let's start from the UK. Kwesi Ernest is there. Hello, Kwesi.
Yeah, Kwame.
Okay, so I know you've been on listening to the conversation. Your final words, sir.
Yeah, at the moment, I got a bit confused, Kakra, because the level of PR I was seeing happening for Bishop Jack was actually, but I could understand friendship and relationship, and sometimes some of these issues when they come up like this, if the person is your friend or you are related or you have some reverence for the person, it's difficult to hit the person's back. I mean, in the way it came about, because the pastor himself has not actually come and debunk the media uproar that is happening, whether the statement that he made it was actually in person or we have taken him out of context and all that. So I'm thinking that we shouldn't force ourselves to do a PR for the person who made a statement and has not actually come back to actually rebut on it, whether he was just making in person or that. But that's just by the way. Kwame, my word is final. This is what I'm saying. That the solution to this problem is what Uncle Ace laid before we started the show. If somebody is in church and the person wants to do a voluntary service, so be it. That is the person's own contribution to the church growth. I'm a Methodist. If I'm in church and my church is doing any program related to music and I feel like I'm an event organizer, I want to add my expertise to support. That is my own voluntary service. But if anybody is in a service and the person is contributing a 24-hour support or a 24-hour service to the growth of the church growth, it's important that we don't use biblical emphasis to deprive the person of his honorarium or his salary. And I even don't want to hear people saying no coffee and all this kind of thing. This is where we have to also encourage musicians and all these instrumentalists or what have you to begin joining unions like the Musician Union of Ghana. Because it's musical as a body has a responsibility to play in this conversation by at least enhancing on the minimum wage for performers, for creative people, or for musicians and what have you. So that if anybody is using a musician or using an instrumentalist, there will be a proper lay down rules that the person can actually adopt to the usage of somebody's service. It's also good that it will benefit the musician themselves, because in the event of anything, there can be a body that can actually also rise up and fight for the interest of any injustices.
Okay.
And for me, that is why I think that musical should also, the Musician of Ghana, the Mr. Simons, if he's listening to us, he must begin to organize fora to actually educate most of these musicians the need and importance to joining the union so that they can benefit from some of these services.
Great.
Because like this conversation we're having, we will finish today. Who takes over tomorrow? The next week, the preceding month? Who will be the person to take over from where we have left and then continue in that conversation to actually bring out a document or a system that will allow these musicians not to be abused? This will have to be taken by a union. Me and you, this is where we can maybe possibly lift our conversation. But there should be a stronger union body that should take the whole conversation up and then shine the whole thing up so that it will benefit the entire music industry. This is a good conversation. And I want to thank the brains and intellectuals, the people that you've actually conveyed this evening. I'm thinking that the next session, we should actually look at bringing the pastors also from their perspective. So it will be them and us so that we can also listen to them, because maybe there's a part we are missing. Maybe there's actually a part, it could be spiritual
because
or
you have 5
seconds
part. More.
We are missing. Well, maybe then they all can also bring it together and then we can judge all and get a proper solution.
Thank you.
And God bless all of us.
Thank you very much, Kwesi Enes. Let me come to you, Pastor Erin Datsing. Please do 1.5 minutes for me. Thank you.
We understand you. Just to clarify that, I don't think we're playing PR. I think we're trying to put the matter in context because, I mean, nobody will want to be misquoted at any point. It's a very painful thing, just to see that something you were saying, you spoke for 50 minutes and somebody just slices just 10 seconds or something. It's a very painful thing. So just so that if even there was any neutral person listening, the person will not feel as though we are here just bashing somebody. But you know from your heart that we support you 100%. I mean, if you come down from London and you say that you are going to take the other conversation, we will root for you so that we will follow you with placards and we go on the street. Awesome. But let me just land with my solutions. Right. I have done a couple of sessions for musicians and pastors.
Okay.
And you can find some of them on the internet, YouTube, and discussing how we can bridge the gap. Just want to drop a few things over here. Okay. First of all, in every church, whether it's musicians or whatever, any discipline or department that comes with learning, there are 3 things I can share with all of us. 1, 3 levels. There are student musicians who are on probation. So they come in and learn. I think that's what Bishop Dark has instituted. They come in, they learn. They don't know anything. They just learn it, and then you call them to serve somewhere. They are messing up the song, but they are at the learning stage. You don't pay any student. You don't pay any learner. Number two, then you have the service musicians. Service musicians are people who have graduated from learning, and now they can play for service to run. So they are performing. They are good at what they are doing after mastering that. Then you have the expert or the professionals. Professional is somebody who I would want to say as somebody who is doing this as for a living. So this person, it's either a volunteer or he's a full-time. So you have to determine these levels. Don't put everyone on that level.
Okay,
that's one. Then the next thing I want to also say is that
can you
quickly? I'll learn. The other thing I want to say is that I think this matter has to do with the organizational capacity.
Okay.
So you have to choose which model you want to do. You want to go with a volunteer model, or you want to go with a mixed model of a volunteer and full-time or part-time, depending on what you can afford. Most churches run with devotion and volunteers at the beginning. But when you take care of a baby and the baby grows, you also have to understand that the baby is going to feed you. So there's a point where you take care of a baby, and the church takes care of us, and then now we also start giving to the church. And then there's a point where we also take from the church, and so on and so forth. So I think that pastors should start having these conversations together with their musicians without any fear or intimidation.
Great.
And allow these things to be handled properly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, George Quay. Please, 1.5 minutes. If you can do 1 minute,
you're out of time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Well,
I'm sure, baby.
I want to say to my boys and ladies, and I started this: add value to yourself.
Great.
If you're playing the same way every month, you are not adding value to yourself. Stop saying I am only a pianist. Add bass. Add guitar.
Great.
If you can play on those ones, you can easily play the sax, because it's just notes.
Yeah.
It's a different realm, but it's notes. You can add, then move into production. Quit just being the keyboardist.
Great.
Start thinking about production. Start writing songs. People say I say it like it's easy, but start writing songs. If you can play a song, you can write a song.
Wonderful.
Start writing. Start learning how to mix. Go to school. If you want to stick to the music, learn some more. Go and pay some good money. Go and sit in the Showbiz studio in Kaswa.
Thank you.
And learn how to mix. When you finish, learn about the technology for mastering. Make sure that you are relevant across the spectrum, and so you can perform wherever you find yourself.
Okay.
And then these are the things that will feed you, because then you can easily set up your own production in a corner of your bedroom. Now with technology, we don't need a dead room anymore to record. We can record in the streets. You can record in your hall. I used to record in my basement studio. I don't even remember the last time I worked there anymore. Now we record in my hall. Because once you have that little chamber and the mic in there, you're gone. If there are sound interferences, software allows us to it. Guys, add value to yourself. Then you can negotiate better. And I'll say this. And if your church is just asking you to play for Sunday and everything, and it doesn't involve too much investment, and you can do it for nothing.
Thank you very much.
If you can't do it, then add something to yourself so you make some money on the side. And if the music won't pay you, go to school, become a lawyer.
Thank you very much. Uncle Ken. Uncle Ken, please, your last word.
I've enjoyed the discussion.
Great.
And thank you to all the experts who are here today.
Awesome.
To share in their, experiences.
Thank you. And Nee.
Like George Quay, I will also defend because I think Lawyer has said it all.
All right.
Edwin has said it all. Indeed, if you want to be paid for your craft, just hone the craft.
Thank you.
And otherwise, just stay in your church and
thank you very much for listening to Showbiz A to Z. George.
Very quickly.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
Yes.
Wole Soyinka's Death and the King's
Yeah.
Horseman. It's going to be in August.
Great.
Watch the space.
Thank you very much. It's been great having all of you tune in to Joy 99.7 FM. It's been a wonderful show. My name is Kwame Dadzie. Very big thank you to you, Ace, Nan Ankuma, Uncle Ken, to you, George Kwe, Nina Kudouna, Pastor Edwin Datson, Kwesi Ernest, and everybody who sent in a message. We're back same time next week on the Super Station. Bye-bye.